Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our finals match of the GLEC League of Legends seasons. We have our number 1 seed of Manchester University going up against the number 2 seed of Ohio Northern University. Both these teams looking absolutely amazing for their seasons today. I'm Cilantro joining you for today's cast along with Akiva, and I'm looking forward to today. It's going to be an absolute banger. We might get 5 maps, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this too. We were talking about this before the games were starting, that I've seen ONU play a bunch of times, but I've never actually seen Manchester play before, and I'm really looking forward to see how they play and how things play out. ONU's a really serious team, and then Manchester is seated above them, so I'm very excited to see how this match goes.
Yep. We've done a little bit of scouting ourselves, but patch notes change and based off scrims, we can't really say what each team is going to be playing right out the gate here. They've had time to scout each other over this weekend, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Manchester is going to have the blue side, which is arguably the stronger side in the game right now, whereas Ohio Northern is going to have the red side.
Yep, and looking at Manchester University, their top elo high-ranked player is their support, I believe, who actually plays a whole bunch of really threatening characters. He had a very, very high win rate. Senna, Renata, Pike, and I think one other. And I'm curious to see if we're going to see some support bans coming out from ONU, but a Malphite ban coming out, that's very interesting. To me, that signals they're looking to take Jax here for ONU, or, probably Jax. That's a historic Jax counter. GP coming out as the ban for Manchester University. Honestly, one of the most irritating characters to play against at a high level, so I'm going to assume that ONU must play that, and just bans coming in left and right. Cassandra coming out, one of the most obnoxious characters in this patch. Yeah. They tried to nerf him, and then they buffed him one patch later, and his win rate spiked up 8%. It was absurd.
Yone is going to be banned as well. That's also a bit of a mid/top flex, as well as the GP ban, but they're going to round it out with 3 top lane bans coming out from Ohio Northern, so they're really scared of what Manchester can pull out here. And we're going to start off with a Taliyah B1 here. This is a flex pick. Could be the jungle, could be the not top lane, could be the mid lane.
Yep.
A little bit more stronger in the mid lane than the jungle right now. And Ohio Northern, insane. I didn't even realize that the Orianna was left open. Manchester actually opting not for the Orianna B1. So that Jarvan Orianna combo from Ohio Northern is going to be devastating.
And actually, I was going to say this, that when you have Jarvan and Orianna on the board, you got to break it up. You got to take it or ban one of the two. This combination is so powerful. It's the best individual mid laner, one of the top junglers, and their perfect synergy. Already, I think ONU leading the draft. Though that being said, Taliyah does well into Jarvan, and the Kai'Sa coming out from Manchester University was a hotly contested pick, though she has fallen in popularity just a little bit recently. Very interesting. And actually, of note with the Taliyah can also be flexed into the support role in some circumstances. It's better than you think.
If that came out today, I think we're all going to be mesmerized.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised at the things I've seen in my lifetime.
All right, we've got B3 coming out. I'm expecting this to be a support pick. Rakan really strong, but they're actually going to opt for Renekton, really strong in the solo lane. If I was a High Northern, Nar's on the board, and Gwen is still on the board, 2 picks that are often commonly played into the Renekton. I mean, you can also potentially play the Camille, who's really strong on her own, but they're going to opt for potentially an Irelia here.
No, this must be a meme or something.
Yeah, I know, it has to be.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And actually, I think the Renekton is maybe a nod towards a Jax pick. I'm not really sure what's going on with the Renekton. Personally, I know a lot of teams have been favoring the early pick Renekton, hotly contested pick, but if I'm totally honest with you, it's not my favorite early rotation. And then I actually really like ONU coming out and taking top to counter, hide their picks for later in the draft. So curious to see. We have the entire bot lane open for ONU. Probably going to see 2 bans coming in from Manchester towards the bot lane. And then Zed coming out as the ban for ONU, which is fascinating.
Honestly, what wouldn't be surprising to me here is if Manchester decides to throw this Taliyah in the mid lane and then pick Poppy as their jungler.
Yes.
This could be really good going into the Jarvan Aatrox and shut down that engage combo, allow the Orianna to not really be able to do much, and let Kai'Sa and Renekton get onto that backline. Not going to be banned out from Ohio Northern, so they're expecting this Taliyah to be in the jungle. So Manchester could throw them for the loop and actually pick this Poppy. It could be a devastating pick for them.
Yeah, the only one thing, the caveat I'll make is that if you take the Poppy jungle, Taliyah mid, Renekton top, your team is going to be sorely lacking an initiation tool.
True.
So you'll have to look for an initiation tool to come out of the support there. Something like a Nautilus, Leona, Rakan, Rel.
Not banned. Rakan's not banned.
Yeah, Rakan's not banned. And the Xayah pickup here, if I was Manchester University, I would be taking Rakan 10 out of 10 times here with No hesitation.
Take Rakan right now.
Yep.
You've got to take Rakan right now. Like, I mean, you can take the Nautilus or the Thresh, or even Renato, if we've been seeing as a lot of play time recently within the current patch. She's, I mean, nothing really has changed from her, but it's just very strong denying teamfight champions, as we see, like, with the game having a little bit more of a drawn-out play time than it used to be with snowballing. Renata can just, like, counter team fights just in general and allow her team to win. So that Rakan will probably be going over to a high Northern.
That's okay. I think they're kind of okay accepting that. And again, I mentioned that Manchester support, I think he's sitting at 70% solo queue win rate on Renata in Masters. So this is one of those high power, scary picks that a lot of teams don't really have a ton of playtime against historically. So I'm going to be looking at Renata as one of those pain points.
Italia
Maokai coming out as the jungle. Perfect pickup here. I was mentioning the lack of initiation for Manchester United. And really...
No, they don't pick
no
this.
way. Not into Talia, not into Renekton, not into Maokai.
Well, even the Rakan, I mean, even the Rakan, like, is who you want to pick here for the Xayah combo, but even the Rakan's not good into the Talia. So you're going to have Xayah, Aatrox, Jarvan, and Rakan into a Talia. That's not really going to be that great for your team. So I actually kind of like this Senna pick if they go for it. It allows her to poke out the Renekton and Maokai from being able to engage when she gets a lot more passive stacks. But they are going to go for the Rakan as well. So this Talia is going to come up big for Manchester, and she's actually their only essentially source of counter dive right now.
No, Renata actually can be
she
powerful counter dive as well. So really the question is, can ONU overload Manchester University's counter dive? Because they do have the Rakan, they do have the Jarvan, they do have the Orianna. So they're just going to be throwing as much as they can towards the Manchester University lineup, seeing what they can get done, and hopefully overloading the Renata, the Talia, and then to some extent the Maokai as disengage. Manchester University, what they have going for them is just incredible 2v2, 3v3 potential. You look at that Renekton plus Talia as a pocket. Kai'Sa can fit in any pocket. Maokai for the snap, cross-map engage. Talia with the semi-global ult. It's going to be one of those games where ONU has to be really, really careful on the side lane, walking through the rivers in their own jungles, and even being worried about jungle invades. Yes, it's a Maokai, but you get that Maokai and Talia linking up together, Kai'Sa flying in from the lane. All of a sudden, there's three people. You had no idea. It was just a stupid tree hitting you at first. So overall, I think the draft edge, to me, it's close, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think with the win cons for both teams, Kai'Sa is realistically only going to be able to get onto this Orianna, just catch her out in the backline because Xayah, she has her self-peel, and then Rakan can dash to her whenever he pleases. And then on Ohio Northern, like, your win con for Manchester is counter diving with the Talia E's and the Renata ultimates, but you have Xayah Rakan on your bot lane. They are extremely mobile, so unless you time the Renata ult perfectly, you're arguably going to end up missing the bot lane of Ohio Northern, and that's huge damage that you would like to see hitting the teammate. So you're probably, and Aatrox is probably going to be looking for flank engages as well to get on to the Renata Kai'Sa. So it's like you're probably only going to be hitting this core of Jarvan, Orianna, and maybe catching the Xayah, but if she is about to get caught by the Renata, she could just ult herself and not have to get hit by it. So
yeah, and there's a real tension there where, to be honest with you, the Xayah works very, very well into the Renekton champion, just in general, able to dodge out when he goes in. Her innate feather pullback mechanic works very well against characters that are very linear and aggressive the way Renekton is. So I think it's going to be very much on Manchester University to somehow force out Xayah ult without overcommitting too much into her feather potential.
And that's the job for Renekton.
And then Renekton probably just falls down as a sacrificial pawn. And the Talia can just, once Xayah ult is down, though, Talia does very well into the Xayah because Xayah is not a super mobile champion, and Talia has that just huge zone control. Even when she doesn't throw W, you're constantly aware of it, you're stepping back, you're being patient. It's a very, very scary champion to play into as an ADC, but the same thing is also true for the Manchester University ADC because Orianna might be the most annoying champion in the entire game to play into as an ADC.
Right now, yes. When the game I casted yesterday, Jakimbo went absolutely crazy on his Orianna, like 3-4 man shockwaves every time, which just completely turned the fight. But I mean, I'm liking Manchester's comp here. I like Talia and Renekton, some of my favorite champs to watch. And then you got Kai'Sa, who I think is just behind Zeri in total number of pentakills in the world.
Yeah,
with Xayah coming up close in a third place. So it's going to be an all-out battle left and right between both teams here.
No, as a ratio of times picked to pentakills, it must be Samira though, right? For ADCs.
You would think that, but like, okay, maybe in ranked, but like I think in the world, like in the all of like the games played, like on pro play and all that, I think Samira is not even close. To those three.
As a ratio, I said as a ratio. Now Kai'Sa does have that KDA popularity, so we all know she's a little bit overly popular. But yeah, to kind of return to what I was saying though, that Kai'Sa is specifically a mid-mobility champion. She has the ult potential, but she's not considered an Ezreal tier, high-mobility champion. That Orianna ball sits at the back of the team fight, and even if she doesn't click R, it's another situation where Kai'Sa has to be very, very respectful of Orianna. I think there's a lot of work Taliyah has to do to create space for the Kai'Sa versus the Jarvan and the Aatrox, to make the Kai'Sa feel comfortable hitting people from that kind of mid-range spacing. Interesting comp. I do think I'd give the draft edge to Manchester University simply because I think their comp is much more versatile. I think they're able to play a 5v5 team fight with the Maokai and Renata ults. I think they're able to play the pick potential. They can kite back. They can go in. They can split push. ONU has very much a linear game plan. There's 5 of us, maybe 4 of us, and we're killing you. And that's effective. It's easy to execute, but I put a lot of credence into versatility in a league comp. It matters so much if you can turn on a dime, respond to the enemy's game plan, and change it up, just like that.
ONU 100% wants to press R and blow up your team, essentially. Whereas Manchester, they're going to be split a little bit. A little bit of diving in from Kai'Sa, a little bit of diving in from Renekton, and then Renata is there as just a counter to ONU's comp. Just they want to press their ultimates and go in, and Renata presses her ultimate and basically just... Yeah, good luck with that. And then, Maokai exists. I mean, he's going to do Maokai things. He's not going to be bad, but he's not going to be good.
Well, I think he's the best champion in the game currently, to be honest with you.
Balance-wise, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with Maokai.
He fills so many roles. He's a great jungler, great support even. Playable top lane. Just a good character. But I got 2 things I want to talk about really quickly while we're loading. I think we got about 30 seconds before we load in. But the question is builds. So we've got a few contentious builds. The first one, we've got the Taliyah mid lane. Are we going to be seeing an offensive item, such as the Ludens or Liandry's, or a more defensive option like the Crown of Shattered King? We see some Taliyahs opting for one and the other, versus the Jarvan Orianna. I wouldn't be so surprised to see the Crown coming out. But really the question is, what is Kai'Sa going? We've been seeing in Worlds and recently all kinds of different builds. There's the new sort of chic Stormrazor Ginsu's build, which I'll be honest, it feels horrible to play with.
Oh yeah, I've ran into that a few times.
I don't know if it's the one. You got the lethality build, and you've got the traditional Kraken Slayer into Navori Quickblades build. So I'm really curious. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on what you might go, but
I'm thinking we're just gonna get standard crit burst. I don't think that we're gonna mess around too much with the lethality build because she's probably going to end up needing to build this mortal reminder for Jarvan and Aatrox that Jarvan might go the Gore Drinker. As you see, he has the Maw Stomper, so he's probably going to tank you with that Gore Drinker. Interesting though, this is not the first time I've seen a Scorch Claw coming out of a Maokai. So I haven't. Typically you go the Maw Stomper or the Gust Walkers. You have a little bit more speed coming out for your ganks, and Maokai likes to hide in the bushes. But this is interesting. I mean, he is one of the more. He does do a bit more burst DPS, not burst DPS, but passive like overtime DPS on his team as the AP champion. So. But lots of burst DPS on the side of Manchester. So, like you mentioned, the Taliyah. I'm expecting a Ludens here because you could blow up this. You could blow up this Aatrox pretty fast, and honestly, all the members of Ohio Northern can be blown up pretty fast.
Very scary invade coming out here. Will they catch? Ward coming out. Aatrox sitting in the bush. Is he AFK?
Yep, W's going to come down. He's going to force Flash over the wall out of Weird Drum, and that is actually massive for this top lane battle from Erklin. He's going to get a little bit of a wave advantage as Weird Drum is going to actually potentially have to back here. So that's going to give level 1 advantage to Erklin. And, I mean, honestly, Weird Drum might have to use the TP in order to, like, negate this.
No, he'll walk to lane here. It's worth using a few minions because one thing that Flash secures is you will be ganked.
Oh, 100%.
By the 4th level, you will be getting ganked. So really the question for ONU is how do you respond to this? Do you want to path your jungle up there, counter gank, or do you want to just force a vertical, play strong side bot? Really the question is how do you respond? I'm curious to see what they'll do. Jarvan starting the top side, same thing with Maokai. I would not be so shocked to see Maokai do a 3-camp clear into a gank top depending on wave states for Erklin. I want to take a look really quick at
He's
Manchester
actually getting a little bit of a leash. So Erklin and Weirdrum are going to arrive at lane essentially at the same time. We could also see a 3-camp clear out of the Jarvan here in order to force flash on Erklin and regain wave state prio for Weirdrum. That's something that could happen. Jarvan a little bit more effective at a 3-camp gank clear than the Maokai. Maokai needing level 6 to be a little bit more effective with his ganks. But it's just going to be a little bit of mirrored clears here between the top laners wanting to go towards this bot side where, I mean, the only bot side that's really weak-sided right now is Manchester's. This Kai'Sa's going to late game scale, but the Xayah were calling, they're going to be fine no matter what.
Yeah, and it's a real tension point where, again, you got this opening to play through top lane for Manchester, but there's a huge opportunity cost for sinking resources top lane. We've been in the bot lane meta for I don't know how many months now, but every time you don't gank bot, you regret it. That you're like, what the heck are we doing? Okay, we got this stupid 4-0 Renekton, and they've got a 1-0 Xayah, and somehow that's way better than what we've got going on our side. Also, they've got 2 dragons, and oh crap, we lost the game. I hope, for the record, that this Talia does go Ludens. I'm not a big fan, but level 3 gank coming out mid.
He does that flash. The 5W is going to come out, and the Talia is going to throw her E down and force flash out of Kato. That's actually a winning wave state in this mid lane so far, as the Hextech Dragon is going to be up in 2 minutes, and Kato will not have flash for 5. So that's going to be insane for the next this next dragon fight, as the potential invades coming here as well.
They have to be very careful, because I'll be honest with you, Fernanda roams up to this. She is powerful, but it looks like Maokai is actually conceding his own red buff, just walking into the top side, praying that Jarvan had cleared his blue into red, but it's not true. He cross-mapped. He started red to red. This is going to be very punishing for Armstrong boys, and he's going to be at a severe deficit for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Armstrong. Bot Scuttle is going to go in favor of aggression as well, so he's going to have about a 12 CS lead onto this Maokai, which not really where you want to be sitting, because you want to be out farming this Jarvan. While typically how this matchup will go is like the Maokai farms while the Jarvan plays a little bit more early to get his laners ahead. But yeah.
Yeah, and both these characters honestly sit at similar inflections. They're both mid-game powerhouses, and they both spike very heavily at level 6. So the fact that the J4 has pulled so far ahead early game, huge trade coming out top.
Erklin actually could potentially look to go in for this, but Weirdrum, he's winning this himself, and Armstrong's in the top side. They're looking for a potential tower dive. Weirdrum not having the flashback on cooldown just yet. The Infernal Chains are going to pull Erklin, but Armstrong, they went to go for it. Armstrong not having flash himself just yet. He was going to end up landing as Erklin goes in, but he might actually end up falling, but no! First Blood goes in favor of Erklin in the top side. Neither one of the members of Manchester falling there, even though they were critically low.
And that was a beautifully handled gank by Armstrong. I don't know if you caught it. Right after the killing blow by Erklin connected onto Weirdrum, the Maokai actually dropped tower aggro so that nobody was taking tower at a dive.
Yep, knockout's gonna come out of Kuz, and the W is gonna be forced from the Renata, and Kai gets first blood in this bot lane matchup. Like we mentioned, weak side from Manchester, pretty strong side from Ohio Northern. This Kai'Sa duo is gonna be annoying.
Yes, and something that really must be understood by people who don't play at a higher level in League is that just the fact that you know their jungler could be bot and your jungler is not, immediately, oh my god,
a tower dive here, yep. That's going to be a flag knock up, and tower aggro is going to be taken perfectly so that Kai is not going to end up falling, neither will Kuz. These two teams doing a great job with their gank so far in juggling tower aggros.
But this is what I was saying at the beginning of the game, is that, yeah, you have this beautiful opportunity to take a free kill top lane with the flashless Aatrox, but I do consider it a blunder to go for it, because you know for a fact that ONU is going to take that counter opportunity bot lane, and this is just not an even trade. Look at the CS bot, look at the kills. If I had to guess, the goal differential is close to 900 right now. That is brutal for Manchester.
Shockwave's gonna come down on the Lachlan. He's looking for the kill. Kato he's gonna come down. W is gonna stun Kato, and Lachlan actually scared that Kato might commit to that, and he's full gonna force out the flash. But that's no ultimate for the mid laner of Ohio Northern with the Hextech Dragon on the board right now.
Yeah, and of note, we have a greedy spell set from Lachlan coming out, no TP. So that's actually a huge penalty. I think Ori's gonna get the free cheater off. Another Rakan goes wide.
Ooh, the handshake, not really able to get that pick onto Kuz just yet. But yeah, re-mentioning this bot lane, Kai'Sa not really going to do well until she gets that Noon Quiver when it comes to farming under tower. So Kai'Sa absolutely taking advantage of her wave state shoving. So the jungler from Armstrong is going to have to find his way into this bot lane in order to get them back to a shoving state.
Yeah, and we don't actually see Kai'Sa Renata come out often as a 2v2 lane. And I think there's a pretty good reason for it. Kai'Sa is not a character that excels at doing kind of mid trades. You know, she doesn't want to do like one auto. She wants to do an auto, a Q, a W, 2 more autos. But Renata really excels at doing like a trade kind of constantly. But another invade coming here out of aggression into Armstrong Boy's jungle, and it looks like he's just going to give up the blue buff. What can you say?
I mean, he's not in a position. Mid lane was shoved out from Kato, and the Aatrox was already there. Erklin not really able to roam down in that position, but he really can't fight a 1v3 there.
No, you can't. And statements coming out, by the way, out of almost every role for ONU. We got this jungle gap coming out, 20 CS. Mid lane gap coming out, 20 CS, almost a solo kill. They got 2v2 solo kills in the bot lane. Only lane is losing is the top lane, but even then, the Aatrox is up 10 CS after being weak-sided. We have 5 statements coming out from these ONU players saying we should have been first seed, and the wave is actually pushing into the Aatrox top. This is brutal for Renekton.
Oh, it's like we got a little bit of a disconnect somehow. I mean, we were getting some stream problems there, so there might be a little bit of a bandwidth issue over in our tech booth. But I did want to mention, though, in that mid lane regards, that the Talia already had Lost Chapter, so we don't. I don't know if the Oriana hasn't backed yet and gotten it. She does have like a 30 CS lead, so she should be able to have that Lost Chapter. But if they do choose to take a fight over the Hextech Dragon between Manchester and ONU right now, I'm a little bit more favoring Manchester because, I mean, their bot lane from ONU is really strong, but if they aren't in a position to roam up and ONU's bot lane gets in a position to roam up, it's going to be a little bit hard because Talia is going to deal just a little bit more than Oriana until that shockwave comes back online.
Yeah, no, that's very true, and I was actually right about to bring up that Hextech Dragon is the next point of contention for both teams, but especially from ONU's perspective. They say, we're winning. Soon, we're going to start getting shutdowns. We don't want to toss those. The next thing any team wants to do is start stacking those dragons, hit that 24-minute soul, clinch out the game real quick. And if I was aggression, if I was that team, I would right now be thinking, how do we get this dragon in our pocket? What can we do? And I think you're totally right that the Oriana needs to take it back ASAP and be ready to fight. But I'll be honest, I actually think even without the Oriana backing, I'm pretty sure ONU might still win the fight. Just they've got a level advantage in the jungle. They got the Xayah sitting on, I think, twice the number of components as the Kai'Sa. Rakan's going to be pushing towards 6 pretty soon, I think. It's hard for me to say that Manchester is going to have an easy time fighting this dragon. I almost think that they should just handshake the dragon and play for Herald top lane.
Oh, yeah.
Trade objectives, or vice versa, whatever ONU ends up opting into. Though a big fear is if Jarvan crossmaps for Herald, I'm not sure Manchester can even contest dragon with the bot lane being so strong out of ONU. I would be pretty scared.
ONU's got to strengthen the bot lane. They got to start pushing that lead. They can give top lane a little bit. Erklin and Aatrox, in Weird they're going to go at it. I mean, back and forth. So both of them are going to be pretty even until one of the junglers decides to path up there, or one of them gets a solo kill on the other one. So I push this bot lane lead. You're in a position right now to win the next probably 2 dragons, and then you have a team fight for the 3rd one and 4th one. So, but we are hearing that the issue has been resolved, so we're kind of waiting on that little bit of a pause delay. I think it's not as long as the initial spectator delay, so we should be getting back into the game now.
Yep.
And Lachlan actually dies, so I don't know, we somehow missed that. Looks like Shockwave and Flash were burned out of Kato there, so Lachlan ended up getting that pick, and that's what we needed if we want ONU to get the first dragon. They need that mid prio.
Yeah, and if I was on ONU as a shot caller right now, I'd be saying, dragon, 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 get down here, let's start this thing right now. It does look like they'll be opting into a top gank over either objective.
Yep, aggression is level 6. He's going to have the Cataclysm. Infernal Chains are going to come down. Weird Drum's going to use the World Ender. He's currently a quarter of HP, and our ult is going to come out of Erklin, but it's not going to matter. Weird Drum getting that kill off of, like we mentioned, the jungler needing to path towards the top lane at some point this game. And Renata W is going to come down trying to save this Kai'Sa, but Kuz is going to pick up that kill off the back of his Ignite, burning Flash in the meantime and eating turret aggro for that bot lane dive in. I mean, if I'm Ohio Northern, you can take both objectives now.
Absolutely, and like I was saying, the ONU players, they are so comfortable playing together. so far they have been just running an absolute train on Manchester. And looking top lane right now, if I was Erklin, I would be in shambles. First of all, I'm already 20 CS down. I'm down a level. My whole wave is dying. And if you know anything about top lane, this is Weedrum's turn with the Xbox. That wave is pushing back into him. You are not going to have a good time getting frozen on for 2 waves in a row. Herald being taken out by aggression. He is looking mid now.
Yeah, we got a 4K gold lead already, and we're not even 10 minutes in just yet. Armstrong's going to be on a ward. Kato not having that shockwave, doesn't have flash, so he's got to be a little bit careful to go for a gank here. Lachlan going to be able to guess that aggression is waiting in that bush and able to zone him out right then and there.
Now, greedy pathing coming up by aggression, getting flicked back by Talia, but it does look like he'll be able to walk out safely after all. I am really surprised to see that he is not aggressively pushing onto this dragon. Again, we have level leads mid. Full Kraken Slayer completed for Kai'Sa, or Xayah in the bot lane. What's stopping you?
A 40 CS lead in the bot lane too, nearly. So I mean, they've got to play a little bit faster, push this dragon, push your leads early, because that's how you end. That's how you end the game and prohibit the enemy team from coming back. Because this Kai'Sa, Talia, and Maokai, they want to go 30 minutes.
Yep.
They don't even right now. If you're High Northern, you're at a state where you can end this game in 20.
With that being said, ONU has the kind of team comp where they will just stat check you completely with an advantage, honestly. Again, that Ori J4, if you're down, 2 Rs get clicked, and I think your team is just dead, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, Manchester University has a team comp where they want to be 2 objectives first. Maokai really benefits from being there first.
Ult.
And Talia does too. It really benefits from having a vision advantage. That's, I think I was mentioning before the stream that one of my teammates is actually a big Talia enjoyer. And one of the things we're always stressing is we have to get to the objective first, get the vision control. That way we can play for the flicks, and 3 plates coming down. Look at this wave just getting zoned off of it.
Speaking of Maokai, though, Armstrong's coming in. He's going to get spotted out by a warden. Kuz knows that and is going to be calling his Kai'Sa to back off. But aggression, he is in this jungle. River did burn the TP, so they want to go for this dragon, potentially. Talia's already going to end up being shoved out as they're actually looking for a gank, and Flash is going to be burned from Lachlan as well. The Cataclysm came down as well. In the meantime, this could just be a solo kill for aggression onto the mid laner, and that is your go button. Go to the dragon.
Go to the dragon. Do not flick anywhere else. He's going mid to place the Rift Herald, I think, but Regression has been playing very clean this game overall, but I would really like him to go take this Heckin' Dragon right now.
I mean, you're gonna take you take mid turret here, you take bot turret already, you clear out another wave. Like, what else is there on the map for you to do? Go get the dragon. Like, you've already won essentially anything. And even if Armstrong decides to push a fight here, you have mid lane level advantages. Lachlan does not have TP, opting for the Ghost, which I think is pretty interesting on Natalia. So that's already going to put you in an advantage, but I guess they're just going to back buy items and then push it as we see the power spike with the Ludens from Orianna. Yeah,
and it was the Ludens Ori coming out. Disgusting. 12-minute Ludens. You're just going to die. QWE. Click the R key, and you're done. It's a tough place to be in, but I really would like them to get that dragon. I want to keep hammering it in, because like these advantages they're getting are inevitable at this point, right? That mid tower is going to die. That bot tower, they're going to get the kills. You're so far ahead. We're sitting at a 7K gold lead. You don't need to get more gold.
Force fights.
You got to get the dragons.
You have 7K gold lead. There's not like, unless you make a mistake, there's not a fight you can realistically lose right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're that far ahead. Just force fights. Like, I don't understand. And we could have had 2 dragons by now. If they killed the first one, we could have had 2 dragons up by now. A nice invade's going to come out. Rakan is going to end up charming. I believe that is the Maokai out of Armstrong. And he might actually end up falling here as aggression is in the jungle as well. Armstrong is going to commit the flash, so he will end up living. Kuz does burn Ignite in the meantime, but yeah, Lachlan forced to use his wall to catch this wave.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. To be honest with you, I understand the logic. I'm behind, I want the CS, but you're in a game state where, listen, you got to get something done, you know? And that Talia ult is one of the ways to play around getting something done. Again, pairing up with the Maokai and the Renekton, getting a cheeky pick, maybe a 600 gold shutdown on the Xayah. I mean, you got to look for something like that. You can't just blow the ult for the CS. I think that's a bit of a blunder coming out of Lachlan here, to be honest with you. Because now if I'm ONU, I'm sitting pretty. I'm saying, listen, I know I can do whatever I want, and there's not going to be a random Talia springing out of nowhere from the Fog of War. I'm safe to be a sociopath at this tower, which is exactly what they've been doing all game, to be honest with you.
It's looking like they're already starting to posture on this dragon, but Weirdrum, you know, probably going for the vision might end up getting caught out from Manchester. They're not going to end up committing to this kill, and he's going to get this Scuttle Crab in. Honestly, opting for more of a topside prio right now is Ohio Northern. I mean, this Kaisa is alone, and she's not backing off. They don't have vision that they're in this jungle, and Kuz is going to go over the wall. So far, aggression's coming in. He's looking for a potential cataclysm. The flash is going to come out from Akira. He's going to end up living, but in the meantime, that top turret does end up falling.
Yep, and it does look like they're just playing to take down as many towers and pressure as much as possible. Maybe looking to go into a 20-minute Baron, but
the dragon is being killed
by Manchester, though, of all teams in this. What is going on?
And it's dying. Wait, they know. Ohio Northern knows. The dragon's only at 2k. We could potentially see a potential steal out of aggression here, but no. Armstrong's going to end up getting it, and the sapling is going to come down and slow down aggression. He's going to get rooted up from the Maokai ult, and Lachlan is going to stun this jungler. Roadrunner comes out from Weird Drum, but the jungler has already fallen from Ohio Northern. Shockwave's going to come down onto 3 members, and a nice Q3 is going to land onto 2 members. Charm is going to come under Arklin, but he's going to be able to pop the ultimate and get out, as well as a nice stun from Talia. It's going to help his players get away, but Flash comes out from Kato, looking to run down this mid laner, and she will end up falling. Double kill for him, and the only person that is left in the area is Renekton, but he has to run away.
And another one, and another one, and this Orianna is the last person you want fed. She is so good into the entirety of Manchester's team, way scarier than the Xayah, in my opinion, even. This is absolutely crushing for Manchester, and one of the hardest things to do as a caster in general is to hypothesize how the losing team comes back from a 10k deficit, and this is one of those games where I bet those Manchester comms are getting really, really quiet right now. It's
Well, you got to pick that fight.
Yeah.
You did. You got to pick on your Renekton, so you got 2-1. I mean, you probably would have been favored if that went over to your Kaisa, so she could have a little bit of an earlier power spike. Right now, they're kind of waiting. They need her to hit 3 items to start winning fights. Xayah's already up to an item on her, has the Mythic. So, but Renekton, not going to be bad if he's able to find these flank angles and take out Kato and potentially Kai.
Yeah, the only problem is that Renekton is so bad into the Xayah character. Like,
oh yeah,
it's really is a counter pick, and especially when you're behind as Renekton, you're gonna get killed in like 8 auto attacks. It's not a character that is gonna be the winning position from ahead, and to be honest with you, he's not ahead. Look at the items still. The CS differential, the tower being taken, this Aatrox is still itemized above the Renekton. I don't consider this a real win condition. He's gonna lose side, he won't be able to operate in team fights. I really think the best thing we can do is try to split the map and look for picks with the Talia right now. Get some gold onto Talia and onto Kaisa. You need it on those ranged carries, or you're just not going to have a way back into this game. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about it. What if Ohio Northern is just messing with us a little bit? What if they want to win the game without a single dragon?
Maybe they are. Maybe they've got some weird, like they've been scrimming and losing with Dragon Soul, you know?
Their coach just goes, yep, no more dragons for us. Nope. You guys are banned from dragons, so we see a nice engage. Knockup's going to come out on Armstrong. He's forced to commit the ultimate here, but the W is going to drag Kuz over the wall with him, and the World Ender from Weirdum, he's looking to run down both these players, you know, just zone them out so that they can push in this bot wave, but that buys time for the Herald to crash mid.
Yeah, and ONU saying, this is not your jungle, this is not your tower, this is not your inhibitor.
Oh, great stun onto Kato there. Might actually end up getting the pick, and the flash is going to be forced as well, but that's a shutdown onto the AD carry. That's what you need if you're Manchester, and both the members of Ohio Northern are going to end up being low. Erklin not really having their stun off cooldown just yet, and Kuz is going to be able to dash away just for now, but aggression, he's a quarter of HP. Stopwatch is going to come out from Kuz, and aggression does end up falling to Lachlan, and so does Kuz, and that's a pick for Akira as well.
Yes, and that was beautiful. We got that huge 900 gold shutdown coming out onto the Renekton again. If he gets enough of those, maybe he'll be able to do something here, but that was a huge swing. Just Ohio Northern University not respecting the fact that they're doing a 1-3-1 split, and that Manchester is able to bring all 5 members in, which is exactly what we saw them do, pick off the 3. But despite all of that, meanwhile top, we had those 2 towers going down. Oh, looks like Kato is on the hunt here. Gonna opt to go back mid lane and just collect some CS. Weedrum going for the scuttle, or just passing it by, but we actually have an engage coming out onto the Ori. Kato's overextending a little bit too much.
A flash W from Armstrong. When you have the only shutdown left for your team there, you gotta play a little bit more precautionary. I'd like to see him taking it back there as he has the TP online. Dragon's going to be up in a minute. Kado will be back online. He's got the second item already built, but not really a fight you really wanted to see him get caught out there with that big of a shutdown.
Yeah, and I think ONU might just be feeling themselves a little bit too much. It's kind of what we were touching on earlier, is that this way of winning, where just sieging towers, is inherently a risky way of doing it. You're just opening yourself to entropy, to engages. The most guaranteed way of winning a game from a lead is by taking and securing the objectives. And you're going to put the enemy team into a position where you're saying, listen, you're getting less farm than we are, you're getting less objectives than we are, we're just going to pull further and further ahead. It doesn't look as flashy, because your win takes, 30 minutes? But listen, it's guaranteed. So the way that ONU is doing it right now, they've just thrown over about 1,500 to 2K gold worth of shutdowns. That lead is narrowed to 9K. Almost 10K still, actually. So ONU still in a commanding lead, but if they do that a few more times, Manchester absolutely can come back from this game, especially if they're able to nag like a dragon or two off of these misplays. They'll sit on Soul Point, all of a sudden they have a real potential to win the game.
And you especially don't want to be giving those shutdowns over to Manchester United, because they have the Talia, Kaisa, and Maokai who do end up hyperscaling towards the late game, but one of the shutdowns going over to the Renekton is going to eventually put him ahead when it comes to items. I mean, shutdown gold's going to do more than CS gold at this late in the game. So it's going to get him a little bit more of an item lead, and that's going to be devastating when going up against the Aatrox v Renekton matchup in the team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, I think Aatrox is ahead. One of those things where you look at the scoreboard and it's like, well, Renekton's 3-1, Aatrox is 1-1, but Renekton got a 900 gold shutdown, but 60 CS is worth about 4.5 kills, so like who's really ahead now, Very close, and I think you're right that eventually the Renekton can pull ahead and start winning on the side. Eventually, but it'll take a few more blunders by ONU.
Yeah, probably about 1 or 2 more team fights. Aatrox has already got the second item, opting for the Black Cleaver, so it's actually going to be insanely good when fighting against this Renekton and Maokai. So I want to see Ohio Northern start to force some fights here, and it's kind of looking like they want to do that. Going for a bit of a Baron flip. Manchester not really in a position to trade for that, as the bot laner is as well in the bot lane.
Yeah, and listen, we know this. Manchester can't contest this Baron. They can't contest anything in the open in a 5v5. ONU is just too far ahead. This is exactly what ONU should be doing, and I honestly hope they go take the dragon
Take the dragon!
Because I'm going insane at the fact that we're 20 minutes into a game with a 10K gold lead and they've taken 0 dragons.
Only 1 dragon has been killed.
It's like they're playing Ultimate Bravery or something. No wards, no recalling, no dragons. I don't know what's going on here.
It's like PETA came into our game today and was like, you're not killing any animals. No dragons will be harmed in this League of Legends match.
Yeah, but actually, speaking of vision, I want to do a quick shout out to Kuz here, sitting at 66 vision score, up almost 30 vision score over Manchester support. Very impressive. I would like to highlight the little things. Yeah. And we actually saw Leandre's coming out here for the Talia, by the way, which is a pretty good item into the J4, and the Aatrox sort of thinking the Kaisa might be a little bit too weak to kill him, and I'll help DPS a bit.
Speaking of vision, I would like to give a congrats to both top laners from both teams, because they have placed wards.
Really?
Unlike half the top laners I have ever played with in my history of League of Legends. It's like they don't even know what a ward is.
I thought the key was actually disabled for top laners. ADCs too, and actually I'm pretty sure in ADC's shop they've actually removed the control ward from the shop, so you're unable to purchase them.
Probably. We see a Baron buff is going to end up being used the last minutes of it here soon. They're going to take 2 inhibitors off this, and then I'm expecting them to turn around, go for a dragon, but they might actually force a fight here, as the handshake's going to come down onto aggression, but not really able to zone him out to get picked off just yet. Right now, Ohio Northern getting poked out, so they're not in a position to take a team fight. Manchester could win that if they do force a fight, but they're, again, not turning and going for the dragon. They want to make full use of this Baron buff and take the top turret as well. It's looking like it actually, Manchester's not having the greatest wave clear just yet across the board, as they got to deal with mid lane super minions, so this top side should end up falling for Manchester. As a nice W is going to land on Akuz and stun him out, but neither team pulling the trigger just yet.
Yeah, and I really actually like the way ONU is handling the siege right now. They took the 2 inhibs.
There's the Maokai ultimate. They're looking to throw this, and aggression is going to end up getting stunned up, but a Cataclysm lands on the Poke, and it's going to force him to flash out. And they've actually picked up 2. The Kaisa is actually going insane right now, but Zaya's just a little bit stronger. Is going to kill Armstrong Boys. Going to get 2 more picks, and Wheeldrum is going to trade his life for this potential match here. Erklin's the only one left, and he's forcing a 1v2, and he will end up falling, as these Nexus turrets should fall, as Kai has the attack speed and the attack power, and Ohio Northern is going to take game number 1 in our best of 5 finals.
Kai coming out and saying, this is my game and I am winning it right now. And they do. Actually, very well played overall macro and lane phase from ONU. With the exception of, I do think they could have ended up with 2 dragons at basically no cost.
It was 1 dragon killed the entire game.
But that being said, I really want to say that I think they pulled out that endgame macro perfectly, taking the 2 inhibs mid and bot. There was a few flicks getting hit by Talia, and they just walked away from it, which is exactly what you want to do. You understand that you've got the Rakan ult with the Righteous Glory to heal back up on the counter engage. You understand you can just walk away. Once 3 inhibs have fallen, you're not winning the game. I don't know what the exact win rate for a 3 inhib down is, but it must be 99% loss.
I mean, I think it's like when you have a Baron buff and the enemy team has open inhibs, you're like 100% guaranteed the game.
Yeah.
Like you just can't lose.
Yeah, the percentile is so high that it's hitting that 99.9. You're just losing.
Well, I mean, yeah, 99.99999 because nothing is 100%.
Yeah.
Insane fight from both teams. Honestly, it could have went either way. And Ohio Northern taking control of the early game, but Manchester had some pretty strong fights. That last fight could have gone in favor, but the Kaisa ended up falling, and she was putting in massive amounts of damage. And then, I mean, like I said, Aatrox with the World Ender was able to get a double kill under that Nexus turret, tanking that first team and trading his life for the game, like true top laner fashion.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see that what the adjustments are going to be game 2. Are they going to change draft? Are they going to same play? I do wonder, maybe Manchester was sitting with some nerves. I haven't seen too many of their games, but my understanding is they're a very good team. And I do not think that was the play level they're probably usually playing at to be at this point in the bracket. So I expect to see, honestly, a more competitive game 2 where Manchester's going to say, listen, guys, take a breath, get some water, go hug your girlfriend.
Drink a Red Bull.
Drink a Red Bull. Do whatever else you need to do. Come back for game 2 and really, bring it home, because if ONU plays like that again, man, they were laning like demons that game.
Yep, gold lead from the start to the finish. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and throw it on over to a break as we wait for map draft number 2 to get started, and we'll see how Manchester United can bounce back.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're just about to get started into map number 2, but we had a quick talk with our production team, and we had a little bit of an error. This game is actually only going to be a best of 3. So like we thought, I mean, me and Akiva thought most finals and tournaments are best of 5s, but because scheduling issues, we've decided, the team has decided that this will only be a best of 3. So we're at match point for Ohio Northern.
Yep. And shout out production, best production team I've ever worked with.
Me too, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've loved every single time I've done commentary here because you guys are awesome. So
huge shout out to Game Arena as well for hosting us and hosting this entire tournament for the GLEC. So it's absolutely been amazing. One of the best caster setups I've had. Honestly, some of the best team I've had. You guys, some of the best color casters I've worked with. So, I mean, I'm trying to do my best for you guys as well. But we are already into the pick and bans, and it is looking like a mirror.
Yeah.
The same exact thing.
Bans are flying fast and furious. And this was talking about before the end of the last game, which is that do we readjust strategy going into game 2? And both teams are saying no. Manchester's going to be coming out with the quick first pick, Jarvan on the blue side, which I do like. I was talking about, you got to break up Jarvan Ori. ONU pretty much keyed into taking Orianna in this position. If you want my personal opinion, it is a mistake.
There's no reason to not pick Orianna.
It is the best mid laner and the best pairing with Jarvan. You got to take it, ONU. I would consider it a blunder if they missed that. Probably looking to do jungle plus mid here.
Okay. I don't mind this, though, because what I saw yesterday so far as a little bit of a adjustment coming out from Valpo is, and I think this is starting to show spark in the meta right now, the Wukong is picked against the heavy dive comps with Jarvan. So essentially they dive onto the Wukong, he presses R on all of them, and essentially negates the entire dive. That combined with a Renata is, actually just going to go for the Kalista, but that combined with the Renata is essentially like an entire team fight shutdown. And because we see a Kalista here, actually, I would expect something like Alistar. Yeah.
Well, the Kalista is typically paired with either Kalista or Renata right now, or Rel.
Yes, because one combo I've seen was essentially what would happen is like the jungler would go in and CC chain someone. I think it was Maokai. Maokai would go in, so they CC chain, and then the Renata, the Rel would go in after with the W. and then Renato would pull the rel out.
Yes.
And it was an entire engage that was countered. But back to the current picks, Nautilus is going to be picked and Ziggs. Now, Ziggs is pretty strong in the meta right now.
Yep.
But do you think this is a Ziggs APC or a Ziggs mid paired with the Nautilus?
I think it's usually a Ziggs APC in the bot lane right now. I think in this context, I really do like Ziggs into Kalista overall. That being said, it's hard to say. One of the things that makes Ziggs such a powerful pick is it is flexible. He recently got buffed in the mid lane, and honestly, no matter what role he is in, it's a pain in the butt. I do think Ziggs is pretty decent into Akali and laning phase, can kind of counter that E out, so I'm curious to see. But ONU coming out with an extremely aggressive draft.
So this is one thing I wanted to mention. ONU had a very aggressive team last time.
Yes.
And it kind of blew up Manchester.
Yep.
I was expecting them, and I was going to mention at the start of our draft here, to ban aggressive champions from ONU and play more of an aggressive playstyle yourself as Manchester. Force ONU onto a more slow and steady playstyle, and then play aggressive yourself and try to counter the punishments that ONU would make. But it's looking like ONU is just going to jump on you again.
Yep. And if I was Manchester, I'd be banning, well, that's one of them.
There's the Alistar ban.
Alistar and Rel here, because we were talking about flexibility versus linearity in team comps. Renata, like I said, being the other classical pairing with the Kalista right now. Morgana being an excellent pick in the mid game versus Nautilus overall. And by the way, is another one of Manchester Support's best characters. So this is a counter pick away from Manchester here.
I want to say it because it'd be funny if it happens. They throw a Wukong top and Morgana in the jungle.
It's possible.
She has been giga buffed for jungle lately, but they're going to go for this Rakan. So actually, really good pick here. I like it with the Kalista, not like gives Rakan two forms of disengage. He can just dash back to his team, or he is able to knock up. But I think this is primarily a pick because they knew Manchester's AD carry was going to opt for the Xayah. So I'm really excited to see Kalista, though. Kalista is one of the ADCs that I actually really enjoy watching because she rarely ever comes out compared to the Kai'Sa and the Xayah and the Zeri and the Jinx and the Sivir. Like, she rarely ever comes out, but when she does, she is an absolute cannon.
Yeah, she's actually, so I'm playing ADC currently on my team, and she is one of my favorite characters to bring out in the ADC role. I think she's so good in lane. She is so good with aggressive strategies. Here's the one thing about Kalista that I'm going to point out, though, is Kalista is, if I remember my stats correctly, the least winning character with a gold disadvantage at 15 minutes.
Oh, that makes sense.
She is absolutely tragic from behind, and Jax coming out is so good against Kalista.
An Urgot pick into the Jax? No, not going to end up happening.
Fiora.
I would actually not mind seeing the Fiora here, allowing a bit of a split push, but please pick Shen. Please, don't let this be a troll hover. Pick the Shen. I want to see the... No, I want to see the passive shield. I want to see the 1v1s with the passive shield. I am a Shen stan. Big Shen stan, but... Renekton actually fits extremely well with ONU's comp here.
Yeah, and if I'm going to talk about these drafts, I think Manchester has the edge here, to be honest with you. Let me talk about why really quick. ONU really lacks range advantage in this composition. Manchester has this Ziggs who's going to be able to control so much space and objectives with that Q and that E and even the R just poking ONU down. On top of that, ONU is a very linear comp again. Akali goes in, Rakan goes in, Renekton goes in. Xayah maybe is the most self-sufficient carry in the whole game and is one of the most punishing characters to overextend versus. On top of that, Kalista is a character who struggles very, very heavily into two things. One is the point and click. Nautilus having the point and click R for the Kalista. And the second thing is, because Kalista is a ramping character, she struggles very, very hard into characters with dodge abilities. So that's characters like Neela and Jax. So Kalista really can struggle into the Jax. And if I were to say one more thing, ONU's comp does not really have huge amounts of peel. They're a very all-in comp, not very much of a kite-back comp. So when you've got the Jarvan, the Nautilus, the Ziggs, the Jax all jumping onto the backline of ONU, I think they're going to be pretty susceptible. That being said, the same thing as Game 1. If ONU gets a lead, they are going to ramrod you, steamroll you, wad you into a ball, and throw you right into the trash can.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is the lane states of each team here. You've got very early aggressive junglers coming out from Jarvan and Wukong, but both your bot lane and top lane can benefit from being put ahead early. Arguably, you want to path, if you're ONU, potentially toward this Renekton, give him a little bit of lead against this Jax, because Jax early game is not that great of something you want to deal with.
Nope.
Renekton's going to take a little bit of items. He's going to need the potential, if he goes for the Stride Breaker here, which would not be a bad pick against Jax Xayah. He's going to need a little bit more help towards getting that item. But Kalista, like you said, does not want to play from behind.
No.
So you want to gank her early, get her an early lead, and potentially let her steamroll through lane. But I mean, the Kalista Rakan is an all-in lane, is not weak-sided, but neither is Xayah Nautilus.
Right.
Also not very weak-sided. So it's going to be interesting to see what the paths from both of these junglers is going to be, because either lane can benefit from being put ahead early.
Yeah, and you usually look as the jungler for the tiebreaker in the 3v3. So who's the weak side? It's got to be the Kalista, in the sense that Jarvan's going to be a little bit stronger than the Wukong pre-6. Post-6, it's a bit of a different story. Wukong gets a huge power boost at post-6. So I think what ONU wants to do is play even ahead, safely gaining a small advantage in the early game, hit 6, and then absolutely steamroll the bot with the Wukong, because, to be honest, Rakan, Wukong, Kalista all simultaneously engaging on Nautilus is almost a guaranteed kill. And you get 1 or 2 kills onto Kalista, and all of a sudden you have this huge issue. And what we saw last game was that the ONU carry is very comfortable playing aggressively and playing from ahead. So hopefully we see a lot of attention put bot lane, because, again, something we talked about last game is, yes, you can put the effort into the top lane. This Renekton and Jax matchup is very volatile, but if you do that and the other side of the map pulls ahead, you're usually not winning that game right now in this current meta.
Well, I want to take your attention to the one thing we have not talked about just yet, and that is this mid lane matchup. Ziggs versus Akali. Akali, also a champion that really does not want to be playing from behind.
Nope.
Although existing as Akali is okay when you are behind, because no matter what, you have that backline pressure onto this Xayah, onto this Ziggs, that you can be a menace, be a little bit of a bug on a wall, and be absolutely annoying. Early game, Ziggs is going to put her under her tower.
Yep.
So are we going to see Jarvan take advantage of that and gank this Akali early to put Ziggs ahead? Because once Akali gets this potential, I'm expecting her to build Hextech.
Yeah.
So once she gets that alternator and potentially that first item, she's going to end up being able to start shoving back on this Ziggs. So are we going to see Jarvan heavily push for this mid lane lead? Or is Wukong going to come in and assist his mid laner along with the top laner and play for a strong top side, and then let Kalista in the bot lane do Kalista things and then shine in the team fights?
Yeah, and in general, Akali's lane matchups always go the same way. So currently, her lane phase is quite weak, pre-6, which means that it's very much incumbent on Ziggs to put as much of a CS and level advantage onto the Akali as possible going into her 6 and be in a position where he can't get all-in touch of death. Akali is a scaling champion. If she gets CS and is able to go into the mid-late game, she will kill you. She is very scary in those circumstances. That being said, like I said, Akali is very soft in lane phase. Ziggs is a character who can punish you. She will be going the second win of the Doran Shield, I'm sure, and just hanging on for dear life. But
Yeah.
1 or 2 deaths in the mid lane can absolutely turn. And one thing of note with Ziggs is that once Ziggs has a lead, he is very good at translating that lead into other lanes by roaming, by disengaging plays, by pushing lanes, all the things Ziggs does. So if Ziggs gets a little lead, all of a sudden he's ulting bot lane, breaking up the 2v2 or 3v3 into a 2v2 or 3v3 plus fed Ziggs ult. And that's not where you want to be as ONU. So I do think that playing through the mid lane for Manchester could absolutely be a viable strategy, yeah.
Speaking of strategies, let's talk about the difference between last map and going into this map so far. ONU, not getting many objectives other than the Rift Heralds and taking almost all the towers on the map instead. Now Manchester has the Ziggs. So, and we all know Ziggs W blows up towers.
Yep.
Everybody knows that. If you've been playing League at all, you know that. Boom. Tower gone, right? And we've seen multiple times when Ziggs comes out for a team, they push his lead early so that he can take that mid lane tower or that bot lane tower, and then just throw him in every lane after that to take the towers. And they could move as a unit and play towards that side so that Ziggs gets the benefit and take that tower. So are ONU going to sit back and potentially let more objectives come into their pocket, or are they going to come out with the same exact strategy and just take the towers before Ziggs can get ahead and get to the towers himself?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Ziggs is basically the focal point of Manchester's drafts versus ONU. Like I said, he's a source of range advantage, but Ziggs also works a little bit like a Talia. He puts down that minefield, and while it doesn't stun you like Talia Cage does, what it does do is it says, if you dash through this, you're taking 700 damage.
Yeah.
And
combination with Leandry's burn.
Yep, and that's good against Akali, that's good against Kalista, that's good against Rakan, that's good against Renekton, that's good against Wukong. There are 5 champions, count them, 5 champions. I'm not great at math, but...
6?
Yeah.
7?
It's 8? Yeah, I'm not sure.
1v9?
But that being said, yeah, the Ziggs really does a great job into all 5 champions, shutting those characters down. So does the Xayah. Something of huge note here for the Xayah, taking Exhaust, which is fantastic into ONU's team comp. And by the way, Kalista does not have Cleanse, which means she cannot cleanse off that Exhaust, which means if she gets exhausted, it is going to stick. That is a huge advantage for the Manchester University 2v2 bot lane scenario, to be honest with you.
Counterpoint, though. Kalista won't get exhausted if she's behind the 4 other teammates that get exhausted.
I'm only talking about the lane phase.
True.
In the 2v2 lane phase, I think that exhaust versus heal dynamic is going to put MU at a huge advantage, and they're going to look to press that, get a kill, hopefully do to them what ONU did to them the game before. A few other things I want to highlight. I didn't mention this last game, but the Zig is starting with the Sapphire Crystal, just like he did with the Talia, which I really like that greedy Sapphire Crystal into early last chapter start. And on top of that, I don't know if you noticed, he has the Glacial Augment rune.
Oh yeah, that's going. You step into an E now, you're not moving at all. So I'm going to be expecting him to build the Relays along with the Leandry so that he can be able to sit back behind his front line of Jax, Nautilus, and Jarvan, and essentially just throw Qs and just not let the highly mobile champions of High Northern be able to skate away. You got Exhaust, you got CC Roots coming out of Poke, you got Akira Feathers. I mean, it's just a very, very heavy CC comp for Manchester United, and I think Kalista not going Cleanse here is just a little bit of a misread.
Yeah, I think it's really greedy. Honestly, the character is not playable without Cleanse. If I'm dead honest with you, if the enemy team has even a single point of CC, because that character cannot get locked down. She will die. Glacial Augment also coming out for Nautilus. They have so much speed control overall. However, Aftershock Nautilus is much tankier in the 2v2 than the Glacial Nautilus. So a common dynamic of the 2v2 bot lane is that Nautilus will engage on the support, and the support will engage on the Nautilus. They'll engage on each other. And the fact that the Nautilus has Glacial, but the Rakan has Guardian, means that... Oh, W1Y!
Potential misclick from Kaz. He's going to end up missing the knock-up, and Root's going to come down onto Kai with the Exhaust as well. Poke's going to get ignited, and Cruz is going to end up getting caught in that Glacial Augment like you were talking about. But not really much of a punish from Manchester. They had the opportunity to shut down and potentially win this early bot lane. I mean, they're not level 2 just yet, so that potentially could have been what ended up punishing them. Akira not able to pull back those feathers just yet. But Armstrong, boys, he has a little bit of a wave clear potential, which I was just about to take your direction to. We had mirror clears coming out from both junglers going for this bot lane early aggression, but Armstrong was currently winning it in the clear speed. So it's looking like we're getting a same kind of vibe like last game. And it's going to take one gank, probably at like 10 minutes in the top lane to really put this game over the edge. Yeah, and I agree that Armstrong was winning the clear speed battle, but he actually buffooned his clear, walked past his red into try, and then looped back to his golems. He is now a full camp behind on tempo to the ONU jungler aggression. Scuttle Crab is going to go over to aggression. He will have whatever he wants to do, whether it's a double scuttle or a bot gank here. Actually, huge blunder by Armstrong, boys, there. I'm going to point out Kato's winning the mid lane fight right now as Lachlan has no mana. He does opt for that Sapphire Crystal early, but it's not like it goes in favor of him in aggression. He thinks he can win this 1v1 against Armstrong, boys, right now. He has mid lane prio, so Kato could have moved, but going to force out that J4, potentially looking to back anyway, but this should open up for that double scuttle like you mentioned. Yeah, aggression taking the opportunity to invade. If I'm him, I actually just walk through mid lane here. Lachlan will be forced to respect him with no intention of ganking, but this is a free 2 CS taken away. Take the crab, reset, do another full clear. Now you're going to be at an intrinsic 2-camp lead, and you're pathing towards the spawning dragon. So I think aggression will do something similar to that, maybe just skipping the crab on the way. But I really wanted to mention that the Manchester University just failed to respect the level 2 all-in from ONU coming out there, and they are really in the hole now, and exactly what I said was going to happen happened, which was that speaking of not respecting, Kai's going to actually have to the flash there, and Kuz is trying to help get his AD carry out. Knocket's going to come down on the Armstrong boys, but the feathers are not rooting anybody just yet. The Ignite actually going to land on Kai. They're looking to pick off this AD carry, but he has the heal. He does not have the heal online. But another hook from Pope. He's going to force flash out of Kuz. He's going to auto Kai, and that's going to be first blood going over to this Nautilus. Honestly, Armstrong Boys flashing, trying to get that pick, which is probably a little bit of a blunder coming out from Manchester. But you mentioned not respecting, probably a little bit of a cash curse there because Ohio Northern was not respecting the 3v2.
Yeah, I willed it right into existence. And by the way, it looks like we had a scuffle in the top lane at the same time. I think somebody just got 1v2'd.
Yep, Jax has a kill. Gonna have that Sheen off first back, though. He did end up dying. Aggression getting a pick there, honestly not that bad. Wukong can get ahead really early and be pretty much a menace. You would like that kill to go over to your Renekton, though, so that when you get into the team fights, he can match the Jax in power. Having that Iron Spike Whip, though, is not going to be as effective as a Sheen right now.
Yeah, dude, when you're weak side and you get the 2v1 clapback on the enemy top laner, you are feeling. So you said, listen, I soaked your pressure. I got just as much gold as you did. I'm still up CS because, like, I'm kicking your butt in the first place. Yeah, huge win for Earthling on the top lane, honestly. Manchester University looking pretty nice in this game. They're actually still at a gold deficit here. If we're looking at the CS totals, it's mostly coming out of bot lane, but a huge bot lane coming from Earthling's
going to use his ultimate. He's pushing that advantage. He has Sheen. He knows that this Renekton cannot fight him at all in the top lane, so Weirdrum is going to have to end up respecting that. But let's bring the talk back down to the bot lane. I mean, you mentioned the gold lead, and Kalista not wanting to play from behind. I think we're a little bit surprised here that Kai is shoving in this this Xayah like constantly.
Yeah, you can tell Kai's somebody who doesn't want to have a small lead. Kai's somebody who wants to have a huge lead, and I really think they just want plates, plates, plates. They want to terrorize the bot lane coming out of Akira and Poke, and I think there's also a bit of a mental game here because the two top players on Manchester University are the ADC and the support. I think they're Masters and then D2 this season, but the D2 player had peaked Masters in a previous season, so you're expecting them to perform really well. When you're ONU's bot lane, you're saying, listen, this is your top elo, and look what we're doing to them. There's a real mental damage that's done there, and something that cannot be discounted whatsoever. But if I were them, I would be looking to bounce this next wave that's coming in right now, crash a tower, let it slow push back to me, and then freeze until it comes time to play for a gank or a dragon play.
Well, we're potentially going to see a play here. They know that Armstrong is in the area. They have a ward. The Hextech Flash is going to come down. It's not going to end up getting canceled by Kuz, but the hook is going to go wide in aggression. He was lingering in the bush, looking to potentially go for this counter gate. Not level 6 just yet. Is going to end up getting rooted out from the feathers from aggression, and now he has that level 6 power spike. The wave's not pushed in just yet. The hook does go barely wide, threads the needle, even though it has the hitbox of a submarine. Yes. Does end up missing all the players onto a higher northern. That's actually going to end up massive, and this is looking like it could be a potential tower dive. No level 6 just yet on the side of Manchester University. That's the clone. The clone isn't falling, but Kato comes over the wall as well. Knockup's going to land from Kuz. Not level 6 just yet, but Armstrong will end up falling to Kato. That's a pick for that mid laner. Is going to play in far ahead. Kato is going to end up flashing forward. And it's going to get the pick with Kai on to this Xayah. She ends up falling, and that's a double kill for the bot lane of Ohio Northern. It's looking like the same thing from last game.
Bot diff, but actually the story of this game is not bot diff, it is mid diff coming out here. I don't know how in the world Akali gets first rotation on his Ziggs, but that is exactly what just happened. But that is, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not right.
Look at the wave. She honestly just gave it up to go for the roam, which when you're playing Akali is what you essentially want to be doing. The Ziggs does not have as much roam pressure as you do when you're playing that highly mobile assassin. So you want to pressure that lead. You can give up a wave or two for more side of the map, which actually giving up that wave does nothing to her because look at the CS lead.
Yeah, and you know, this looks like just a hands diff to me right now. Again, we have every player on ONU's team pretty much outplaying their counterpart on Manchester University here, which isn't to disrespect Manchester University's play quality. It's simply to say ONU's playing so well this game.
Look at the top side. Armstrong plays in that area. He's got the Cataclysm. He's going to get onto Weirdrum, and he's not going to be able to get out because he does not have Flash. But aggression. The two top side are going to end up being weak. Aggression has his ultimate. He's going to see if he can commit to this. The Ziggs is up with the ultimate. He's going to land. And actually, he's going to help Aggression. They are burning. Erquin is trying to turn this, and he does with the ultimate. Kills Aggression as well. 3-1 in the top side this time. That's not, that actually, no, that was a repeat of last time. Last time he was playing Renekton.
Yes, and by the way, though, this is a different situation entirely from last game. I was talking about last game how it was a fake lead, right? That, yes, he's got kills, but actually he's down CS. That is not true this time. He is equal levels. He is actually up CS, good wave state and 3-1. And Jax, like you were mentioning, is a character that could absolutely run a game over in a team fight or in the split push. So Manchester University needs to play through Erklin here. He is their strong point, absolutely. What that hopefully is going to look like is, for the time being, I don't think they're winning a 5v5, really no matter what they're doing at this point in the game. So they should be looking for cross-map split pressure. Getting tier 1s down, getting tier 2 down, getting Rift Herald with the help of the Jax, but a play coming out from ONU.
TP is going to come down, Hook's going to land on to Kuz, but that's a support, not really something you want to be locking down. Kato is doing absolutely menace in the backline. Charm's going to land onto Armstrong, but not really looking for a pick just yet as the tower has not fallen. Ziggs has rotated into this bot lane as well as another Hook's going to go wide, and Aggression not really able to look for an engage here, as a nice knock-up onto Kato might actually end up getting this pick, but Kira is not have just nearly enough damage, and Aggression might actually end up being caught out, and that's a fight turning in favor of Manchester University, and they're not end up done. The hook is going to land on Akusa. He's able to dash away onto Kai. Kai full HP trying to do something here, but a double kill for the Ziggs so far. He wants to potentially trade out one, but he's not going to get anything. Shut down for Akira in that team fight.
Huge turnaround. Actually, the gold equalized between MU and ONU. That was as good of a play as could have possibly happened there for Manchester. And by the way, in the meantime, Erklin dove Weirdrum. So it is a cross-map victory in every single lane. That's a huge deal, and honestly, I think ONU's biggest kryptonite is, why the heck aren't we taking the stupid dragon?
The dragon is still
stupid herald? Why are we diving tier 2? Listen, they're playing great, but they gotta clean up and win normally, not through this wackiness, because at this rate, they are throwing this game away. Game is even, and I think Manchester University might be in a winning position right now.
Well, here's the thing. Manchester won the fight and didn't go for the dragon either.
Yeah. Well,
and honestly, if Erklin is winning the top side so fast, why didn't he just roam down and solo the Rift Herald? That would have been double objectives for you right off the bat.
Yep.
Erklin can take his own top side tower, and once that falls, he's going to be able to roam even more effectively and get his mid laner a lot more farther ahead. That 2v1 between Ziggs and Jax, Akali's not going to be able to do anything. She's just going to get stunned out. But the bot turret not falling there, though, either for Ohio Northern, actually does not go in favor as Poke looking for potential engage. The root's going to come down onto Kuzi. He's going to land a double knock up here. She's got the auto stacks, but the Xbox is going to come down in a double root from the feathers. Kai should end up falling here, but the charm's going to land onto two members of the Ignite onto Akira. Could turn this fight. She's one more tick, but not going to end up falling, but here comes Aggression. Kuz is going to get that kill onto Akira. Not going to go towards Aggression as he takes the tower aggro, and I mean, you're too weak to go for the dragon. Now, Kato's going to end up running down. They want to kill this Nautilus, but there is no wave just yet. Kato's going to be able to just hold this wave, but all of the members of Ohio Northern are low, and Ziggs is roamed down as well, having that ultimate. They've got to be careful here. But top side, meaning Manchester's looking to trade something out here.
Yeah, and I think Poke's going to... Listen, we can talk about this, but Poke's dead here, right?
Yeah.
On the getting the cross-map play coming out, like you mentioned. But what I want to say is that was a blunder for Manchester University. They correctly identified that, listen, I think based on our champions, we can win this 2v2, but what they failed to recognize, what is Akira doing? Move your character away from the Callista, dude. What they failed to recognize is that their ults weren't quite up for that fight. Both the depth charge and the, whatever Zaya's ult is called, were right on the precipice of coming back up prior to that fight. Had they had those ultimate tools, they would have absolutely won the 2v2, maybe the 2v3.
Kato not having enough speed.
And Rapture with the chase going down mid lane. We're both just like, but it's actually still happening.
Yep. He's doing more damage, but she runs into the E. A hook is going to land in the meantime on Kai, and that's not really a position you want to be in when you're winning this bot side. Arguably, you're up about 40 CS. So right now, I think Ohio Northern, they've given up on the top side. They want to play for their strength in the bot side and push this Callista around. But the problem is, you're winning lane in bot lane, but not winning the bot lane objective.
Right. And actually, can we pull up the gold graphs really quick? I want to see what the gold gap is top and the gold gap is bot, because what we're kind of talking about is that, solo kill?
Wait, a solo kill though in return. Lachlan does have that Landry, so Kato's going to end up burning, but Kuz is going to roam in the meantime. So far, back and forth in this mid lane. Not really like what we were expecting, but yeah, I like you mentioned, see the gold graph, see what the difference may potentially be here.
Yeah, it's the X key if you're not used to using the League client controls. Thank you so much. So looks like we're sitting at a 2k gold differential in the bot and a 2k gold differential in the top. So it is even, and like you were mentioning, Jax is a character who can actually match an ADC. I'm very excited to see how this game pans out. which team is able to play their winning lane more. So far, Manchester University was able to secure their top side objective. What they want to do now is move their powerful character to the bot side and pick up this dragon ASAP.
Are they doing it? Are they doing it? And it's a mountain dragon, so that's going to actually help this Renekton who's struggling in the top side. So once he goes in, and the Rakan as well is going to be a lot more tankier as well. Wukong will be a little bit tankier too, but both teams having a little bit of an even mid lane here. So a nice knockup's going to come onto Lachlan. They're actually looking to deny this even more. Lachlan's going to end up falling. Shut down over to Kato, and that's absolutely massive as he's 3-0 in the mid lane now. They need to push this lead.
Yeah, and Akali being a character who can do so much terror on the entire team going into the mid game. I don't know how much she's going to be able to specifically kill the Zai, just because Zai is so effective at disengaging versus assassins, but in general, it's just such an obnoxious character to play from behind against. Erkman walking the jungle versus Kato, the 1v1.
I don't know if you win this, Kato. To be honest, the stun is going to come out and is going to end up dodging as here comes Kali's stun. The stun is already end up using, but the Kai at his fall. But this is a shutdown for the AD carry, who already has a gold lead. And he's going to end up potentially getting a level lead here, but aggression is slayed in the meantime. But I feel like that does not end up mattering because topside, Renekton is going to be able to get back a wave state here, going to get a CS lead and potentially a tower if it is low enough. So, I mean, the 1-for-1 trade, I don't think goes in favor of Manchester.
No, it does not, and Nautilus, Rakan engaged me in.
The hook does end up landing, but Kuz is just able to dash away.
Yeah, gotta love Rakan, right? But, yeah, Nautilus bringing the hammer down over and over, collecting kill after kill. This Nautilus has 3/11 of his team's kills, almost 25%. That is so much of his team's kills. And if you're sitting from Akira's position, you're thinking, listen, I could be 4-3. Not really, but you're thinking that, you know? That's the feeling you're getting.
Oh, Poke might actually be caught out here. Nope, actually not. Kato not having nearly enough damage yet. Only has the Hextech Rocket Belt. Looking like he might be building into the... I'm expecting a Rapidunes here for the Power Spike. Ooh, nice go over the wall from Kuz. Gonna end up landing the knockup, but just a little bit of a poke there as he spots out Armstrong, who has that Cataclysm. So they got to be a little bit careful because Kai does not have Flash.
Yeah. And, you know, so far, we were talking about the Glacial Augment on Ziggs coming into this game. So far, I haven't been too impressed with it. Honestly, I'm not sure what it's done. I'm curious to see if it's able to get something done in those mid-game team fights, because you got to think of it as an out-of-lane rune more than an in-lane rune, right? The more aggressive in-lane rune is going to be Arcane Comet, maybe someone airy, depending on your flavor, but maybe Electrocute, though that rune's pretty bad, not great on Ziggs. You understand where I'm going with this. The point is, I'm curious. Oh my god.
Almost got away with the back there, but Lachlan not going to end up letting him.
Yeah.
But yeah, next Rift Herald's going to be up in a minute, and it's looking like Aggression wants to prio this. They don't have topside prio at all, essentially, this game. So you could give both Rift Heralds, but not really something you want to do when a Ziggs is on your team. So the only turret that has yet to fall is that bot lane turret, and I'm interesting to see that this Ziggs has not moved to the bot lane just yet to take that turret.
So, quick call-outs really quick. We have actually a little bit of indecision for the Ziggs. He's sitting on the Rod of Ages, or the Insular Rod. He does pick up the second Insular Rod, which means he is going towards the Death Cap, not the Shadow Flame. On the inverse, we see Ruby Crystal coming out for Kali, indicating that is the Shadow Flame coming out for her, which I think I like out of both sides here. Ziggs playing a little bit greedy for the late game. Will he go for it?
Weirdum, I don't think you win this, but Erkland not actually pushing the advantage here. He does have his jungler in the area, so they could have went for this. Yeah. But Aggression is moving up to the top side as well. This Rift Herald is up in 14 seconds, and right now, your AD carry for Higher Northern has the advantage, so I'd like to see them push this. Well, like you said in the draft, the Jax does counter the Akali, but because Kato went onto the Jax first and forced out the stun, it allowed Akali, or the Kaisa, to stack the passive autos onto the Jax and end up shutting him down, as Weirdum should potentially end up falling here. He's going to end up flashing, but Erkland flashes over with his ultimate as well. He's going to get that pick. So now you're in a 5v4. Hook is only going to land onto the clone of Aggression, but TP's coming out from Kato. This is your win con. You need to push this mid laner in. Lachlan's going to end up getting his W over the wall, and the Glacial's going to come out and slow down Kuz so he can't dash over the wall to assist him. But right now it's looking like Manchester can control the Rift Herald first.
Yeah, and Lachlan looked very comfortable in that position. It was a little bit stressful to have this Rakan running towards you, and he had a lot of patience. He's poking him out. And
the Cataclysm's going to land on the 2, and Kai has his flash this time. He's going to end up ulting his Rakan. Naka's going to come out from the Nautilus. The shutdown is going to land onto this Kalista, but Kato returns with a trade of his own. He's looking for more. The ultimate comes down, and that's a double kill for him. 2 for 1 ultimate.
Yeah, and we can see how much work. Oh, the counter engage coming back in from Erkland, coming in 1v2.
He's going to end up landing the stun, but Wukong has his ultimate here, and he's in a 1v3 scenario. Knockout's going to come out from Kuz and Lamb, but Kato is going absolutely insane. Lands the over the wall and kills that. They're pushing this mid laner's lead as much as possible. He had the Shadow Flame, and they took the fight respectively.
Yeah, and I really do not agree with Erkland coming down to the mid lane there. He had a perfect split push opportunity. Look at the health of the top tower. It must have been about half. Those towers give so much gold. I think if I'm Erkland in that position, I just commit to the split push, say, listen, you guys do what you're doing. It's a 4v4 anyways. I'm harvesting this gold for myself, putting the pressure on to be in a hit late game. And instead he runs down and opts into a 2v4, knowing how many members were already on his own team. I do not agree with that at all by Erkland. Meanwhile, Xayah's just sitting bot lane farming it up.
The Ocean Dragon is alive.
Yeah.
We got 1 dragon last game. Let's see if we can go for a world record of 2 dragons this time for a GLEC League of Legends Finals. We have yet to see 2 dragons end up being killed. Right now, Ohio Northern does have a little bit of an advantage, and Kai is going to shove out this mid lane. Ziggs can respond with an aggressive mid lane shove, but it's looking like they already want to move for this, and Ohio Northern should get this 2nd dragon of the game.
Yeah, which is fantastic. I'm happy to see they're actually taking it. And something else I want to highlight too is, like you mentioned the draft, this Ziggs is doing, he's in a dangerous position.
Oh, Kuz not committing much to that. Yeah, it's just going to dash away, and we're going to have a Chemtech Soul.
We will, yeah. Fun fact, this is statistically the lowest winning rate Dragon Soul of the entire game. Yeah. So there are definitely better win conditions. That being said, any Dragon Soul successfully taken by a team does immediately put your win rate at 80% or above. So working towards that regardless, it's a pretty good thing. But yeah, I wanted to highlight how much work the Ziggs is doing in these team fights. We saw him basically instantly kill Kalista. She's trying to jump around. He puts the bomb field on her, and she is dead. Just like that. Doesn't even realize what happened. Poke is actually in a pretty dangerous position here. Nautilus players have this crazy habit of walking into places they really should not and then getting picked off. So I'm curious to see if he gets picked off.
Oh, that Kalista Spear does a little bit more damage than Akira would like it to be, but he does have a 2-item power spike and only a 1 level lead, but that's not that too much of detriment. But yeah, aggression. Poke was a little bit lucky there that aggression had seen Akira before he went after the Nautilus, so the AD carry is like a piece of candy, you know? You would rather go after that than the tank sitting in the pit, even though it could have been a potentially free pick.
Yeah, and something of note here on builds, we have a Vamp Scepter and a Crit Cloak coming out for the Kalista, implying either Bloodthirster or the Shield Bow coming out here. I actually quite like that decision because, like I mentioned, she does not have huge amounts of peel this game, and moreover, she did opt out of Cleanse. I would not be at all upset to see a Shield Bow coming out of Kalista in this position just to kind of shore up her defenses. And then looking mid, we have the greediest of all items coming out on the Akali, the Death Cap 3rd. If she gets that, she will be deleting people immediately. And another big point to mention here, not that I think there's anything wrong with this, we have Even Shroud versus Righteous Glory in the support matchup. Righteous Glory, of course, being one of the most overstated support teamfight items in the entire game, giving 800 to 1200 health to your entire team aggregate over the course of one team fight is just an immense effect and will outpace pretty much anything else that other items can do coming out of the support role. So you gotta give overall edges to ONU in this position, but I really think that this Ziggs can run a lot of pressure. He can do so much. So if I'm ONU, I'm looking to take the Baron so that we can actually push into the Ziggs and resist the Jax to a greater degree on the side lane. And if I'm Manchester, I'm looking to just keep pushing down that side lane and playing for the 4v4 with the Ziggs as much as possible.
And one thing I want to point out is that the top side is essentially evened out. So both of them have 2 items. I mean, Jax is going to end up having the stopwatch and a little bit more components over this Renekton, but the CS has actually started, even though it's minimal, has started moving in favor of Weirdstone, because once that top turret followed, he could just push whatever wave he wanted whenever he wanted. They didn't keep pressuring this top side. The turret is weak in that tier 2, but not going to end up falling anytime soon. But now they both have 2 items, so they're both effectively going to be on the same level when it comes to team fighting here. It's really going to come down to what Kato can perform on this Akali. They need to push this mid laner lead. Honestly, they can push fights. Ohio Northern can pressure and push fights. They've only got about a 3k gold lead here, essentially. But they've got to be careful of this Jax. Jax is going to be an absolute menace.
Yeah, and something to note with the Jax's build picking that stopwatch, that builds into either Guardian Angel or Zhonya's Hourglass, both of which, for the record, are fantastic third items on Jax. But what it
the
does,
WAP damage.
and what it does mean is that, listen, I'm playing for team fights. That's what that says. Those are not split push items. That says, I am showing up for 5v5s. We know Manchester's plan just based on that one item alone. And actually, Armstrong looking for the engage does not quite get it, but I'm happy to see Manchester pushing for some real advantages, knowing Akali's not there or an extra.
Oh, Kai, you gotta be careful. There's a hook there. Nautilus gonna come down as well, but Aggression is gonna counter that with an ultimate. The Cataclysm comes under Kai. He's able to dash over the wall, and Kuz ends up getting that pick onto the Jarvan. Aggression is gonna get a pick of his own onto the support, but Jax gets 2 kills, and Akira, left on his own, was allowed to do whatever he pleases. Kato's still alive, and Lachlan is quarter HP, but because that Jax is alive, that Akali is not essentially going to be able to get onto those squishies.
Yeah, that was a great fight coming out of Manchester University, and the second that ends, you're thinking, what are we getting with this? So they've already opted out of Baron. Are they playing for mid tower? Are they playing for Dragon? Are they getting vision control? It doesn't look like they're playing for anything here. I would have really liked to see them run down, and if they had wards, I actually didn't quite catch if the Nautilus had wards at the time, but I would have loved to see them going and getting a vision line set up for the Dragon fight coming up. And by the way, something I highlighted last game, but look at ONU's support vision score differential again. Almost 40. I mean, god dang, man, that is brutal. You gotta get some more wards down there, Poke. You gotta do something more. That's tough. It's hard to get the vision score from behind, to be honest with you, but you gotta get it where you can.
Yep, third Dragon's gonna end up being on the board, and right now I'm favoring Manchester in a team fight. They're looking a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Kuz potentially caught out here, but is going to be able to back off. Right now, Manchester has river control. Hextech Flash is going to already be used from Poke here, so the Scuttlebug is going to go in their favor. Ultimates on all sides of the board here is going to be a consistent and heavy 5v5. Ziggs is going to zone out a little bit, and the Dragon is going to be started from Manchester. They want to deny Soul Point here, but look at Kato. He's looking for a flank. He can E over the wall onto this Dragon whenever he pleases, but the Dragon is already at 3k. It's already at 4k. Aggression goes in, and that is going to be the Dragon given over to Manchester University. A nice knockup from the Jarvan is going to land, and the Wukong is going insane. Cataclysm is going to land onto this backline, but it might not matter as Kalista can do as much as she pleases.
Wombo combo! And that was just about as good of a team fight as Ohio Northern University could have hoped for, getting the perfect Akali. I think it was a 4 or 5-man Akali R2. These are the Wukong and the entirety of his channel off. Kalista's just doing whatever the heck she wants. I mean, that was served to ONU on a silver platter. Here, take us, eat us up, and they did. And yeah, I mean, you gotta think that from this position, ONU is going to just take this game by the horns, grab it, and run it right down, because they're moving into a 6k gold lead with the Red Bull Baron power play, of course, coming out here in a second.
Hashtag ad.
Yeah, hashtag Red Bull power play. And I wanted to mention that the items coming out here, we actually are locking into a shield bow for Kalista, which I really do approve of. I think it's a fantastic third item into the enemy team comp. Stopwatch coming out next for that GA, another great choice for her. Cloth armor picture for Akali, I imagine that's going to be moving towards the Zhonya's eventually, which I also quite like. So every player on the team is kind of looking to do that final round out, push for the team fight type items, which I really do approve of in this position.
And we see Jax is going to end up opting for the Zhonya. He's got a little bit of an AP scaling off that W, so that's going to be a little bit more oomph to their engage coming out from Manchester University, but right now, Akali has the Rapidoons. That's going to be detrimental. She is yet to be shut down this game, and a Baron play for so far is going to accentuate that gold lead, almost about to be 10k. But the big thing is that Manchester did deny Soul Point. While the individual Dragons don't matter as much anymore, that's going to slow down Ohio Northern's speed run of this game.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That was Manchester University's best point to win a team fight. You knew Kalista didn't have flash. Oh, and the engage coming in actually here.
Yep, a double knockup from Rakan, and that's going to follow up with aggression on ultimate as well. Lachlan will end up following. The Nautilus is going to land on the Kai and try and negate his engage as well. The knockup's going to miss from Kuz this time around. He does use ultimate, but I think it only ended up charming Jarvan. And Kato goes in on the backline. He's going to end up getting Cataclysm, but he's able to E over it as well. But Armstrong is not going to let him escape. But he might not have a choice as Kato turns that around with Kuz in his pocket as well. go. Kuz potentially caught out here, maybe, but Kato is coming up as well. Poke is a little bit weak, and Kato has damage. Stun's gonna land from Erklin, so he can able to Q away, but that's inhibitor turret gone. Inhibitor down. Inhibitor's in the top lane, down. Inhibitor's in the mid lane, potentially down, and we talked about this before.
Yep.
Baron with 3 inhibitors down, 99.99999% win rate.
Yeah, and listen, I think this game is going to end right here, right now, on this very push, and Ohio Northern University's best chance to win the game is passing.
Hope's gonna land onto Kai. He's gonna renew the Zigzag's gonna come down, but they have not gotten the pick just yet. As Kai is gonna get the pick on the Nautilus. This might actually be the fight that ends this, as Erklin's gonna trade out this AD carry and Akira. He's back into the fight. He's slinging the feathers, but it might not matter, as Erklin is in the backline trying to slay Kuz and Kato, but they will end up getting the picks themselves, and Kato lives, and no, Manchester does not. Ohio Northern takes the GLEC Finals 2-0.
The Croc will not die, and with that, Manchester University does. Renekton soaking so much damage with that last team fight. Zaya just wailing on him. Renekton saying, hey, do what you want, man. I'm just here to hang out, you know? And beautifully played game by Ohio Northern University. But honestly, I really liked the way Manchester University played the beginning of that game. A lot more than the first game. I think if this did go to a best of 5, we might see game 3 even sliding over the other way. But either way, a fantastically played game by both sides and really a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, congratulations to Ohio Northern. They are your 23. I believe it's just there's no spring GLEC season, so they are your 23 fall champions for the GLEC. Congratulations to your team. They played absolutely excellently, but no hate towards Manchester United. No. They played an absolute stellar of a performance as well. So congratulations to you guys for nailing second place as well. Don't go down with your heads down. You guys played great. Ohio Northern, they came out on top today, but you guys could have took it either way. Both maps could have went, honestly, to either team.
Yeah, and just shout out to the overall high level of play in the central Midwest region, the Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky area. We have really, really good local teams here. We really do. And Manchester University, you guys are part of that, and so is ONU. You guys both played fantastic. And yeah, I love watching local league here in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can doubt that these were the best 2 teams of the tournament so far and of the entire season in general. I mean, they wouldn't be the number 1 and 2 seeds without that. So, but I believe that unless you have anything else you want to say, that's going to do it for today's match. I think that is there another game today?
I'm not sure. I think it's just the 2.
Nope. Production, we got word from production. There's nothing else today. That was our last championship game for this Saturday. So thank you to everybody who came out and supported us on both streams for the Game Arena and GLEC today for our championship weekend for both tournaments that were going on. So congratulations to all the teams that ended up winning and taking home, and everybody that got second place. Don't feel bad. Next year, all you got to do is make a couple of changes, and next year is your year.
Yeah, and again, GG's both teams, and sayonara.
Bye-bye.